This is a photograph of the mighty Michu, circus performer with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. Several movies he'd been in, Waxworks, Big Top, Pee-wee, amongst others. And Guinness World Record holder for the world's smallest man. At his tallest, Michu was 33 inches tall, which is 2 feet 9 inches tall. When he was born, he was only 2 pounds when he was born in Budapest. This is also the mighty Michu. When Michu died, dearly departed tours was asked to host Michu's remains in the lobby of the tour business. Since he was a showman, we were given to display his little director's chair, his robe with Ringling Brothers, and his cowboy boots and hat, and a lot of different things. Those were all on display. Well, since we closed a few years ago, we thought it'd be more appropriate, instead of storing him, that he should go someplace proper. So the point of this video is to get Michu a real grave. Now, I'm going to read a little bit of a biography of Michu. Michu's proper name was Michu Meszaros, and as I mentioned before, he was born in Budapest, Hungary. Born on October 1st, 1939. He was born a midget, which is a medical term, which is a perfectly proportioned little person. And he weighed 2.5 pounds. Because of his size, he found it difficult to adjust to whatever normal life is. So like a lot of unusual people, he joined the circus, originally the Hungarian National Circus. Now, he once said about his height, "Only in the circus could my tiny height become a great asset rather than a bitter burden. As a circus performer, I have the greatest of powers and privileges to bring enjoyment to children of all ages who want to forget their troubles for a little while." Now, Michu was an instant sensation. He'd enter the big top in a tiny cart, waving to everyone, including children who were almost always taller than he was. He found his way to America and joined up with the Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey Circus, and he was also a huge hit. And it was the focus of a lot of merchandising. Here's an example of some of the Michu image used in merchandising. Ringling Brothers also staged a daily wedding between Michu and another little performer by the name of Juliana. This took place in 1977. Again, another merchandising hit that Michu never saw a dime of. That was his job. He'd show up and do his bit. He found a bit of success in Hollywood when he left the circus. He had small parts in films like Waxworks,
the old door opening by itself scene.
Welcome to the Waxwork. We were expecting more.
he was in Big Top, Pee-wee,
Don't be afraid that you're too small.
Here's where everybody's 10 feet tall.
and most famously for the beloved television alien ALF. Whenever they needed a full body shot of the alien running or talking, gesticulating, that would be Michu in the ALF costume. Michu also was interviewed on the David Letterman show. Here's a clip from that.
Here he is now. How do you do? Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Have a seat there, if you will, sir.
Oh, thank you very much.
We just talked about the fact that you were in Hungary before you came to this country. What kind of a life did you have there? What were you doing? You want me to hold your hat for you?
Oh, thank you.
You can
That's
put it right
all
up there. Okay.
It's great.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Michu,
I'm
Come
sorry.
on, please. I'm very serious.
Yeah. This is you're an oddity, of course, and I don't mean to anything negative by that, but it's also being this size is a danger for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like what are problems for you?
What a problem? Oh, I got lots of problems. This ladies is don't want to leave me alone.
The ladies don't want to leave you alone. Yeah. What about
I like just like Casanova.
Casanova?
In 1984, while performing in the circus, he caught the attention of legendary singer Michael Jackson, and the two became very close friends. Michu often being invited to Neverland Ranch, and even in 1994, he was the best man for the wedding of Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley.
Later that day, at an afternoon press conference, the bride and groom gave a typical Jackson performance. But of course, Michu was a little more giving. You remember Michael and Lisa Marie's little buddy. The circus performer was putting on quite a show.
Now, Michu and his guardian Dennis would accompany Jackson on tour, and they were, as I mentioned, a fixture at Neverland Ranch. Jackson would often use Michu in his promotional videos for his tours, and also use Michu in a Pepsi commercial.
Curse of a new generation.
Michael had all sorts of custom costumes made for Michu, and he loved watching Michu sing and dance. And as I mentioned, he was a fixture at the Neverland Ranch. Now, when the allegations against Michael Jackson happened and Michael decided to ditch Neverland Ranch, Michu assumed that he was going to be set for life by living there on the ranch, and Michael kind of, insinuated that that would be the case. But when he lost the ranch, Michu was moved out, and he ended up living in Hawthorne, California, which is a bit of trivia, was the hometown of the Beach Boys. Michu visited Michael Jackson, and he said that Michael Jackson invited him to go to London to do his month of shows at the O2 Arena, which very famously he didn't make it to because Michael Jackson passed away. And Michu said afterwards, "I still miss him every day." Eventually, Michu settled in Hawthorne, and he lived out his days with caretaker Dennis. He was a local fixture, becoming so well known that the mayor, he lived on a little street, they say it was the smallest street in Hawthorne, and the mayor had a ceremony and named the street after him, Michu Lane. On June 13th, 2016, Michu's guardian Dennis announced that Michu was in a coma. He had had a stroke a couple of years prior to that, and he died on the night of June 13th, 2016. Shortly after Michu died, my friend and Michu's close friend, Richard Lamont, reached out to the Jackson estate and also Ringling Brothers to see if they could assist with expenses, but it became clear they were not interested in helping with funeral expenses. Richard started an online campaign to raise enough to pay for a final resting place for Michu and funeral expenses. Although the goal was met with surplus, it ended up only being enough to cover Michu's cremation, funeral, and removal, or the release of his cremains to his guardians. There wasn't enough for an actual burial plot. When we had our tour and museum on Santa Monica Boulevard, we were asked to be the guardians of Michu. Always the showman, he still entertained hundreds of people a week in his smart glass box in our lobby. Here is a short clip from the memorial. It's a real honor to have this little man here with us today, and to be the guardian of his earthly remains. He worked as a feature performer in this country with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus until 1985, when he grew weary of all the traveling that goes along with life under the big top. After the circus, he acted in films like Pee-wee's Big Top Pee-wee, The Vatican Inquirer, Waxworks, and most famously ALF. ALF, he was in ALF's body, and the costume. And also this Waxworks is kind of funny. Waxworks is a horror movie that we've actually been showing on the horror movie tour for a couple of years, so it's kind of neat because he's been part of our tour for quite a while. On June 13, 2016, Dennis Varga announced that Michu was in a coma in the Los Angeles hospital, and after he discovered him unconscious in the bathroom floor. He had suffered numerous health issues since a stroke 8 years earlier. He died at Providence Little Company of Mary Medical Center in Torrance on the night of June 13th. Unfortunately, as with so many other former stars, medical bills and investments left Michu in a bad way financially. Dennis made Richard Lamont, who was our friend Richard, executor of his personal possessions and remains. And after years of working for Ringling Brothers, they completely turned their back on any request to sponsor for funding for a burial for Michu. Now, I'm going to read a couple of quotes. My friend Kevin, who was with the circus for a long time, talked to a few people that knew him on the road with the circus. And I'll read a couple of quotes. And again, these are his words, a lot of these, not mine, even though I would use them. Now, this person, Randy Peterson, was on the Ringling Brothers during Michu's final season with Ringling Brothers. Here's a story. On the sideshow touring with Ringling, I walked an elephant in spec, and right in front of me, every show, was the float Michu and Khan rode on. Khan was the giant. Michu hated him. Michu would be screaming at him over who knows what, just about daily. Many times you would hear, "I'm not getting up there with that piece of shit." But when they went through the curtain, he was a true performer. The fun was everybody waiting for them to come back out of it, and he seemed to be larger than normal. Verbal chastising. Sometimes there was a crowd. The second one was closing night at Madison Square Garden. Last show, they had a troupe from Gabon, South Africa. They did all kinds of crazy stuff in traditional African costumes, grass skirts and all. The blow off of their act was something to do with fire. Actually, it was a fire jump rope that they were using. And one of the grass skirts caught on fire, and this gentleman went running down the halls of the closest dressing room he could get to, and that was Michu's dressing room. And he threw open the door and ran in and jumped in the shower. Everybody had heard on the radio that this had happened, and that the performer was okay. But the whole time, Michu was in the background screaming at the top of his lungs every bad word known to man. "Get this fucking fireball out of this fucking shower." I said, "I never heard the management move so fast." Michu was full of life, loved playing and messing with people. He was very proud and happy the day he started working. And he never stopped working. All right. So everyone, let's welcome Michu to his permanent home.
Oh, nice. To Michu.
So this is Michu's Walkman. Inside of it is his little Hungarian tape, his little cowboy boots, key to the city, and his robe from Ringling Brothers. So everyone, cheers to Michu.
Cheers.
Cheers to Michu. Now it's time to find Michu a permanent home. We've worked with Pierce Brothers Valhalla Cemetery in the past. They have Pugsley, Ken Weatherwax, and Thelma Pellish, and Johnny Arthur. We had them marked, and the cemetery worked with us again to find a special niche for Michu's remains. This is going to be where Michu's cremains will rest forever. You can see this one says devotion, that one says love, and over there is remembrance. So as you step up this walkway, this is a new wall of cremation niches, and Michu's spot is the third one down from the top on the corner. M14. So that's the forever place where Michu will be resting if we can raise the money for that. Now, the niche is only 10 by 10 by 10, so what we're going to have to do is get Michu a proper urn. And we have to pay for the space and for the funeral arrangement. So that's what this fundraiser is about. As I mentioned, Richard took the surplus from his original fundraiser and immediately added it to this one. This is for Michu. So when we reach the allotted amount that we need to reach, we will have the cemetery schedule a burial, I guess, an inurnment at the cemetery for the public to attend later on in the year, hopefully, or maybe the beginning of 2024. So that's what this is all about. We're not begging for money. We would hope you'll support this, because we're giving the little guy a space forever that fans could come and visit him from now on, which would be a really nice thing to do. And you know, that's the point of this video. The fundraiser is going to be listed in the description of this video. If you can see it in your heart to donate a couple of bucks to give Michu a final resting place, That would be terrific. He deserves to be someplace where fans can acknowledge him from now on. So please check out the fundraiser. Remember, he gave us a lot of entertainment with the circus, with the movies, and with his quirky personality. And Richard and I invite you to please support this fundraiser, and we'll get Michu taken care of permanently.
Hey! Don't just stand there! Help! Come on!